Probably 10, 15 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, maybe.
January 4th, 2015. The founder of biotech hedge fund Wainscott Capital, Tomas Gilbert Jr., was found shot to death in his New York City apartment. Police say his left hand was touching a semi-automatic pistol on his chest, but quickly ruled out suicide.
10 minutes ago he was shot?
Maybe 15.
By whom?
My son, who was nuts. But I didn't know he was this nuts.
Tomas Gilbert Jr., a Princeton graduate, was living a life of surfing and socializing in high society circles, financed by his parents. Gilbert Jr.'s parents were giving their son an allowance of $1,000 a week, but had recently lowered it to $300, which prosecutors say was a motive for murder. Authorities found numerous rounds of ammunition in the son's apartment, which gave police evidence they needed for an arrest.
We have a shell casing envelope with the serial number of the gun that was recovered at the crime scene.
1 month after his father's death, Tomas Gilbert Jr. was indicted for second-degree murder. The defense admitted during the trial that Gilbert killed his father, but said he was insane, didn't know right from wrong at the time he fired that shot, didn't understand the consequences of his actions. His attorney, with whom he has disagreed with openly in court, has pointed to a history of mental illness and that 911 call from his mother, Shelley. An expert for the prosecution testified that prior to the alleged murder, Gilbert's internet searches included 4 visits to findahitman.com. Shelley Gilbert took the stand for the prosecution, but also testified she and her husband knew something was wrong with their son. We also thought we'd had an extremely mentally ill child on our hands rather than just a mentally ill child on our hands. Between the prosecution and the defense, there is someone left in the middle. With her husband gone and her son possibly spending the rest of his life in prison, Shelley had one thing to say to reporters after she testified.
No family should ever have to go through this. Ever.
Her son is facing life in prison if convicted of murder, but if found not guilty by reason of insanity, he will be sent to a mental hospital. But the fact is, Allison, at some point he could get out.
All right. Shout out to Bill Dixon for sending me this particular story. And this is a perfect example of when white people don't get their way. So here you have this guy who clearly was spoiled rotten, like clearly by his own parents. See, and this is the one thing right here. This is what happens when you spoil your children. Stuff like this can commonly happen, but you'll rarely see it happen with that of black families if they are, I guess you can say, in that upper echelon tier. I think I've only heard it happen one time, and that was years ago when it was that black guy who got with his 2 friends to kill his mother over some insurance money to help fund his already failing rap career, and now all 3 of them are currently in jail. And I think that was the only time I've ever heard something like this happen. But when it comes to something like this, it's usually palm colored. And when I think of stories like this, I think of the Menendez Brothers, back in the 90s, and how popular that particular case was. But this guy got upset because his parents decided to lower his allowance from $1,000 a week to $300 a week. That means somewhere along the line, he was spending a lot of money. And they said it right there in the news clip that you just heard. He was spending it frivolously. He wasn't investing anything. So basically, I think his parents had formulated in their mind, especially his dad, that he was trying to live off of them for the rest of his life, or for as long as possible, basically be a leech. And them, I think, lowering his allowance was them giving him a warning sign saying, look, we're lowering it for a reason because we're trying to make you get out there and do your own thing. We'll be your cushion if you need anything, but we don't want to be your dependent. We don't want to be like your own personal government assistance or your own personal bank. And that's basically what they saw. So it was most likely the dad's decision, because I could tell the dad was most likely the guy who took care of the money, ran the business. Then he gets upset at that and decides that he's going to kill his dad. Now, my thing is this. I know they got him with second-degree murder, but I'm surprised they didn't get him with premeditated, because it did say that when they went through the internet searches that he went to this website called findahitman.com, which means he was planning on getting someone to do it for him. But I guess because the actual thing didn't go out, they was like, no, we're not going to even risk going for first degree, because there was no person that actually responded to him, or there was no payment or transactions made for the actual hit to go down. So I guess on their part to play it safe, they said, we'll just go with second degree murder and still try to give him life in prison. Then they're going to, of course, hit them with the mental illness thing. And did y'all hear what he tried to use? When they said that part about he didn't know any better, I'm like, this is a grown ass man. He tried to use the affluenza thing that Ethan Couch parents used for him back in 2013. The only difference is Ethan Couch was a teenager, but still at that age, he should have known better. This guy's a grown man. Now, mind you, this happened back in 2015. He was grown then and he's grown now. He wasn't a teen when he did this. It said he was a Princeton graduate, which means he had to be in his early 20s when he did this, which means he's closer to 30 now. And claimed that he didn't know any better. So in a nutshell, he was trying to use that affluenza thing. I swear that shit only works for rich white people, especially rich white privileged males. But I don't think that it's going to really work in his favor, because at the end of the day, he was still a grown man. And then they're trying. Notice his mother got on code too. They said, we were trying to seek him some help. I don't know if you can give help to anybody who's spoiled like that. It said that he was spending, like, he going to social events and all types of stuff. He wasn't spending it properly, which is why, in my opinion, the money was his weekly stipend, because that's basically what it was lowered. They were trying to send a hint to him, send off all the signals, but he wasn't really taking the bait, quote unquote. But yeah, like that's wild. I hope he gets whatever it is coming to him. But in this world of palm-colored privilege, you never really know. But at the end of the day, he still did kill his own dad. But you never know what the outcome of something like this is. And they have the nerve to say, we got issues. I mean, I know we got some problems, but I don't think many of us will go out of our way to do something like this because our parents was trying to get us to grow the hell up. And that's basically what this boils down to. They were trying to get him to grow up. Most likely his dad was the stern one. His mother sounds like she was the one that made a lot of excuses. She even said in the 911 call, if you heard, she says, well, I know my son is nuts, but I didn't know he was this nuts. So they knew he had a problem, allegedly. I'm not going to say that he did or he didn't have a mental illness, because, they're going to try to play that card up. But let's just say that he did. Why didn't y'all seek help for him? All they kept doing was coddling him and kept giving him money over and over and over again. But then again, who knows? They probably did try to get him some help, but he rejected it. This is why a lot of people say that if you can't handle money like that, then maybe it's best you don't have so much of it. And clearly he all he did was live off of his dad's wealth. That's really all he did. This guy was pretty much on his fast track to being a lame loser in life that just happens to have money, and not money that he earned. All because of a weekly stipend. And see, the thing is, that $1,000 was probably funding his lifestyle. When that thing went down and got cut by $700 from $1,000 to $300, that put a dent in what he could do. That put a dent in the freedom that he felt that he had. It put a dent in his lifestyle that he was living. He probably couldn't go to certain functions. He probably couldn't buy certain clothes. He probably couldn't put a down payment on a certain car. Although I'm sure as a Princeton grad, he probably got everything that he wanted, but it wasn't enough. This is what the terrors of privilege looks like. But that's really all I have to say at the moment. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you in the next one.